And welcome everybody to a off-season episode. Is that the name that we have been sticking with? Off-season? It's the off-season.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. I got Tinsley. I got Zach. We got sports. We're going to go over some NFL, some college basketball, but we have a special treat for you guys. At the end of the episode, we are continuing our fandom, our fan interview.
All-weather fans.
All-weather fans. Thank you, Zach. So we're going to be interviewing Josh Boles. We had him on last fall. So he will be, we're not talking football. We're not talking soccer. We're talking baseball with him. So we're super excited. Hopefully you guys will stick around for that because it's some good content right there. We whipped up a good interview, didn't we, guys?
It's a great interview. Yeah, Josh is super knowledgeable about sports. He is a big baseball fan, and so we love to get in touch with him about that. A little bit, just something different for the audience out there. Something a little out of our scope a little bit, but I think it was a really good interview. So it was good.
We talked favorite players. We talked about baseball being brought to Nashville possibly. So a lot of good stuff there. So, yeah. But first, we're going to talk some NFL tens. We had some NFL news. Yep. You've made some predictions that are wild. And you've been like, this player's going here. This is what's happening here. And then we're seeing a lot of sportsbook lines like move. And you're like, you should have bet that with me if you didn't already. Or, you should have listened to me. So, what we got, Tens?
Yeah, so the franchise tag deadline hit this last Tuesday. Pretty much everyone that was kind of suspected to get the franchise tag, they got it. Big names being Josh Allen for the Jags, Anton Winfield for the Bucks, which that one was a little bit surprising to me. I kind of thought maybe they'd slap the franchise tag on Baker. They seem to think he's going to come back, but he's kind of one of these big fish in the quarterback pond to kind of see what's going to happen. Couple other franchise tags. Ladarius Sneed for the Chiefs. That's a really big one to me. T. Higgins we've known about for a while now. So some of these bigger guys that were hoping to get the free agency, no chance that was going to happen. So, and then you've got a lot of roster cap casualties happening. The Bills, as of Wednesday night, kind of went on there saving a bunch of cap. They cut a bunch of guys, couple starters on the offensive line, both starting safeties, Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde. That was a little bit surprising. I think you're going to see a lot of salary dumps over the weekend before free agency period begins Monday, March 11th. So I'll be very in tune with what's going on. I have been hitting the Twitter rumor streets pretty hard. I've got a list. I think I'm gonna get a graphic made of it and say this is my official prediction of where I think some of these guys are gonna end up quarterback wise. And then
you did this last year in a group text.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, did you get 5 out of the 6? You got something like
I hit a pretty rate.
Close to that.
Yeah.
Or 4 out of 5, something like that.
Yeah, so, with the quarterback carousel last year. This one's even more crazy. Yeah. I mean, this one's a little bit harder because I think the draft class is a little bit deeper and better. And so now I have to kind of factor that into. But it's fun. I really enjoy NFL free agency. It's very it's fun to keep up with. It's fun to kind of get the pulse of other teams and see what they're doing, what their fans think they're going to do. So it just makes for an interesting time right now.
On top, I feel like there's a lot of smoke screens. Like,
oh yeah,
at first it was like, Fields is like number 1 going to the Falcons, and now it's like not so fast. Like he could be going somewhere else. Kirk Cousins could go to the Falcons. So a lot of moving parts for sure. We'll go ahead.
The big rumor I heard about Justin Fields is the trade like capital has not materialized as much as the Bears thought it would. They're really not getting the compensation that they were expecting. From what I've heard, they were looking for like a Sam Darnold type level trade, like when the Jets traded Sam Darnold to the Panthers, and they're not even really getting that, which was a second round and 2/5. So I think what's happening is since Fields is going to be due a new contract, teams are just saying, well, I'm not going to trade capital right now for Fields if I still have a chance to sign Kirk Cousins, Baker Mayfield, a Gardner Minshew,
Yeah.
or stick to the draft and see if they get one of these guys that maybe they're more willing to start a new contract with. So a lot of question marks with Fields. So like I've said, I think he's the first domino to fall. Him and Kirk Cousins are kind of going to set this market. And then we'll kind of see what happens. Like Russell Wilson, the Broncos this is a really weird situation. He's technically still on the team. He's been designated as a June 1st cut. But the Broncos are letting him start his free agent visits a week early. I guess they're like, hey, sorry for ruining your life and bringing you here and cutting you and making you look bad. I guess we'll let you start visiting teams early, even though technically you're under contract. So that's weird. I don't really know. He's such a wild card for me. I know I gave out our prediction in our group text the other day, and he wasn't included just because I really don't know what to think. Like, I don't know if he's going to take a backup job. I don't know that he's willing to sit behind anybody, but I don't really see a spot for him.
I saw two like weird predictions. One was the Steelers, which I feel like he doesn't really fit that system. I could be wrong. And then the other one, I think it was just to be no. And then the other one I think was just to be funny, but like to back up Geno Smith returning home to Seattle, which is like,
Ugh,
I mean,
that'd
yeah,
be tough.
that'd be tough.
The
It'd be
one,
different. It would be depending on your pride as well. But yes,
yeah, the one spot that I saw that made sense to me if he was willing to take a backup job was Miami, just strictly because I think they're about to be at a crossroads too, where they have to pay Tua, and I don't know that they want to, and so maybe bring in Russell as
and
like
Tua had a healthy year
as a
last
bridge.
year, but
Yeah,
yeah, but it would still be nice to have a backup just in case some of those injuries, if he did like have injuries come back, for this season, but he was
yeah,
able to
and
stay
then if they
healthy, which
just
everybody was worried about.
right, and then
It's
if
an
they
interesting
decided
thought.
to let him walk after the season, they could keep Russ for one more year while they figure it out. I don't know. There's so many quarterbacks. There's only 32 jobs. It's tough, and there's rookies coming in every year, so I don't know. It's crazy, the quarterback movement. We grew up in an age where it didn't really happen. Quarterbacks played for one team, and that was it. And then once they fell off a cliff or got old, they went to go be a backup somewhere else. But really, you didn't really see a lot of movement until Tom Brady and Peyton kind of switched up teams. But other than
Yeah.
that, it wasn't really a thing. So it definitely makes it very interesting. All this quarterbacks flopping around across the league. So I've got my eye on that. But like I said, I think I'm going to, before Monday when free agency kind of the tampering period opens, which is just the funniest thing, is that it's legal tampering. Like, these guys' agents aren't already talking to other NFL owners and GMs about signing contracts. It just becomes official on Monday. It's funny.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try and get my QB carousel prediction out for everyone just to see how I do. If I do bad, everybody can roast me. But I'm gonna hit the streets, hit my sources all week, and see what I can drum up.
And that's why you need to be following us on social media to check all that out. We also, let's go ahead and plug our kind of betting, because a lot of people get on here for betting, but we got something special. Tins, you want to tell everybody about that as well so you can follow some of our picks?
Yeah. So we partnered up with Beat the Book. It's an app. It's like a social app. It's just for fun. Like, you can follow people, follow their picks, see their analysis. I'm not giving out a ton of analysis here. But it's just right now I've been giving out the system plays for college basketball. We'll definitely have our March Madness picks in there as well, and then stick around for we'll probably give out some baseball picks throughout the summer, but we'll really be hitting it hard once football season's back. This will be the easiest and fastest way to see what we're betting, even before the episodes come out. If we're betting something and it's on there, you'll be able to get the line same time as us. So it's definitely going to be something we're using a lot come this fall. We're excited about it. It's a new app, so we got in early. So it's like a fun partnership to kick off with what they're doing.
Awesome. I know the combine was last week. However, just wrap up in a bow your final thoughts of the combine. If you had to just spout off 30 seconds, minute, whatever.
Yeah, I'm gonna get us credentials next year because they're letting everybody in, and people are asking ridiculous questions. There's people catching a lot of flack about the questions, so I thought that was pretty funny. And then I don't know, guys running around in underwear. I know someone broke the 40-yard dash record. Was it Mitchell?
Xavier Worthy.
Xavier Worthy. Okay, I get them mixed up. They're the Texas wide receivers. So congrats to him.
I've already heard of people saying that he's moved his up to first round pick status because of that. But I heard also a fun stat that if you looked at some of the fastest times, you're looking at Henry Ruggs, Jonathan or Thornton. What's the New England Patriots? Thornton. He's not done anything yet.
Yeah, the BYU or the Baylor receiver.
John Ross.
Tyquan Thornton.
So Tyquan Thornton. Thank you. John Ross. So anybody that's been in that top with him besides Chris Johnson was the only one that had any type of fantasy relevance or just being able to keep a career in the NFL. So it'd be interesting to see if he can break that trend. But my only thing was I loved how much hype Joe Milton. I know we're all Tennessee boys, but Joe Milton was getting a lot of hype for his deep bombs and and some of them were he didn't even get them to a wide receiver. That's all I'm gonna say. They could show that he could throw it 80 yards, but then it still wasn't an incomplete pass. So I don't know. Zach, thoughts? No.
I really hope that the Chicago Bears draft Joe Milton.
First overall, baby.
I don't know why. I just think that'd be maybe not first overall, but I think that would be.
They drafted him the fifth round, like a RG3 and Kirk Cousins situation.
I hope he gets a spot somewhere. He's not going to, because everyone sees the tape that he put up at Tennessee all year, and it's underwhelming.
Someone will draft him as a backup and say,
"You think
I can develop
upside?"
Him.
He'll get drafted though.
Yeah,
not just picked up.
Yeah, Hendon Hooker got drafted with a torn ACL.
Yeah, but Hendon Hooker almost won the Heisman.
All right. What's his name? The dude from the Vikings from BYU. What's his Mason? You know who I'm talking about. That kid sucks. He's a rookie this year. Anyway,
Jared Hurl. Yeah, go ahead.
Hall. His last name's Hall, I think.
Anyway,
what I'm trying to say is quarterbacks get drafted every year just because they're cheap. You can carry 3 on the roster without it being you don't have to carry an extra, it's an exempt spot. And every offensive mind's I can make this guy the next whatever. Like Sean Payton, you know who's going to love him? Sean Payton. That's exactly who's he'll be a Bronco.
Next, Russell Wilson.
Don't forget Max Duggan got drafted. Jared Hall.
Sean,
Clayton Tune, Aiden O'Connell, Stetson Bennett.
Yep.
Elite Hooker.
Quarterbacks.
Yeah, all these quarterbacks. So, I mean, yeah, good for Joe Milton. Showed out at the combine. Combine to me, I care more about it's just rumor season. That's just the start of rumor season.
And I'm here for it. And so are we at the next guy.
Here for it.
Yep. So let's do some college basketball, shall we?
Wait, I have a trivia for you guys before we end.
Yeah,
let's go.
Hear it.
Okay. Is it NFL trivia? We're gonna go back and forth this is our trivia format. There are only 8 teams in NFL history to win back-to-back Super Bowls. 8 franchises. It's actually been done 9 times. So bonus if you know which team did it twice.
All right.
Okay, Mason, go first. Back-to-back Super Bowls.
Kansas City Chiefs.
Correct.
We're gonna go with the Patriots.
Also correct.
The 49ers.
That is true.
Cowboys.
True.
That was mine.
Okay, 4 down, 4 left.
4 down, 4 left. Shoot. What was like a Green Bay Packers early in the
True. Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, like 4 in a row to start.
They won Super Bowl 1 and 2. Yep.
Yeah. the Steelers.
That is accurate.
How many we got left? 2?
2. Steelers won Super Bowl 9 and 10. But then they were the ones that did it twice. They won 9 and 10 and then also 13 and 14. Fun fact.
Wasn't
2 teams left.
Wasn't the Dolphins, was it?
It was the Dolphins. Correct.
Thank you.
One last team.
Broncos.
It is the Broncos. Wow, you guys did good with that, huh? Yep. Denver Broncos did it with John Elway.
Yep.
Correct. You feel like almost all those teams had some pretty elite quarterback play. I feel like that's a. You can tie almost all those teams to like this was the guy. This was the quarterback.
You got Terry Bradshaw, right, for the Steelers teams. I don't know who the Chiefs won or.
I know the Chiefs one.
No, I was thinking it was like the original Chiefs ones, but no. It's Patrick.
Who was the one that did it twice?
Steelers.
Oh, did he?
It was
say
very
that?
early though. Yeah, it was like 1. It was not 1 and 2, but it was like very early.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Tom Brady. Obviously, you have. I don't know. I'm not an expert here, but it seems like all those
Art
teams
Star.
No, but it's
Joe Montana,
Troy Aikman,
John Elway, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, you're talking about like some of the best quarterbacks in history.
But didn't the 49ers do 3? Didn't they beat the Bills in all 3 of those Super Bowls? The Bills choked.
Who you're talking about? Who right now?
The 49ers, because
the 49ers.
I want to say I thought Steve Young got one.
The 49ers, Joe Montana and Jerry Rice. It was. They claimed 4 Super Bowl titles in 9 years. I don't know.
Okay.
82, 85. But they won 2 in a row somewhere in that stretch.
Gotcha.
That's all I know.
That's all I know are the facts.
Okay, do we want to really quickly run down some college basketball stuff?
Yes. I think the only thing we want to talk about is the UT Vols winning the regular season of the SEC.
So, yeah, we're recording this minutes after the final of the Tennessee-South Carolina game. So, at this point, Tins and I have cashed our preseason SEC champion tickets. And so
free money, DraftKings.
Shout out. They gave us a boost early on, and we cashed that in tonight. And so that was a big win for us. Also, -5.5 hit.
Yep.
It was very close. If that dunk had been, oh boy, I was about to be mad. But that one hit as well. So we had a couple wins tonight. Big stuff. Tennessee. Let's talk about a little bit of the we won't go and dig all the way into the whole thing, but I think the question on Tennessee basketball right now is 1 seed.
Yeah.
I think nationally, Tennessee is starting to be really talked about as that 4th 1 seed after these last 3 games that we've played, where Arizona has played virtually no one.
Yeah, the Pac-12 is very weak.
And so there's a question. They have the same exact record, and there's a question of how much do you value conference play, which Arizona can't necessarily control, versus non-conference play, which Arizona thrived in and performed really well. Tennessee undoubtedly has had a much, much tougher schedule as of late, but Arizona is just playing the schedule that Pac-12 allowed them to have, which has been very soft. So I think that's the big question mark. The other big question mark, I think, is how Tennessee is going to move into NCAA tournament season. Obviously, another big game on Saturday at Kentucky. It's at Knoxville, but it's against Kentucky. With the question of how much does this game matter now?
Yeah,
it matters probably for NCAA tournament seeding, possibly, but other than that, they've locked up number 1 seed in the tournament. In SEC tournament, they've locked up SEC championship. SEC wise, there's not really anything else we can do.
No.
And the question is, do you want to have one more shot at home to impress the tournament committee? Which I think the answer is yes.
Yeah, I do. I do think I think it's a really big game. I think you do have to come out and put on a performance to show that like you are one of the 4 best teams in the country to get a 1 seed. We've talked about it off air, but the 1 seed is more times than not one of the teams that wins the championship. So I think it's very important for Tennessee to get that. I've been looking at Arizona's, out of conference it's not aged as well as you might think. Duke was a good win. Mm-hmm. Michigan State's really not a good win now if you're really looking at it. Back in November. Yeah. Wisconsin, they beat them pretty bad, but Wisconsin's not a good win to me anymore. They lose to Purdue.
Tennessee also beat Wisconsin as well.
Right. And I don't know Tennessee's off the top of my head. I'm just looking at Arizona's. Arizona loses to FAU, who's not even going to win their conference, I don't think. They lose by 28 points to a bad Stanford team when conference play starts. Missouri, I'm sorry. I was thinking Mizzou. Washington State, they lost to Washington State. They lost to Oregon State.
Yeah.
Those are bad teams is what I'm trying to get at. And then they lost to – there was one more out-of-conference game, and I just lost it, so sorry. But I don't see where Arizona deserves to be a top 4 seed when their conference is bad, and some of their out-of-conference wins really aren't – they have not aged as well as they could have.
Yeah.
I think if Tennessee puts on a performance against Kentucky, and as long as we don't get blown out in the SEC tournament, which we were talking about it, I don't even care about winning the SEC tournament. I'm cool with like lose your first game kind of close and let's get some rest and kind of get a reset. Because even UConn didn't win their conference tournament last year. It's one of those things where are you going to run out of gas? I mean, we just won 4 games in a row. The end of our SEC schedule was very tough.
Yep.
If we win Saturday against Kentucky, we beat Auburn, Alabama, South Carolina, and Kentucky all in a row, and then say Barnes pushes the envelope and wants to win the SEC tournament going into the March Madness. That's a lot of energy spent, I think.
Yeah, you're looking at a situation which, I mean, this has long been debated, and some people, no one's ever going to say throw the game, but you're saying if you end up running out this SEC schedule on Saturday with Kentucky, and then you're turning around maybe on, I don't know when the first game would be, maybe Thursday. I don't know. When Tennessee's first game would be because of the way it's bracketed. Oh, I do know, actually. It would be on Friday. So you do have all week off regardless for Tennessee now. You won't play until Friday at noon in the quarterfinals. And then if you win that, you would play Saturday at noon in the semifinals. If you win that, you play a championship game on Sunday. So you'd have 3 games in a row, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then you'd be turning around to play again on Thursday or Friday. So, I mean, there are definitely a couple days built in this week. Like you won't have any game. You won't have a midweek game until Friday, obviously. So you do have an extended 6-day rest built into this schedule before, which is obviously a benefit of playing well and getting that two round bye.
Yeah.
In the SEC tournament.
I'm looking at our out of conference. We didn't perform well in November.
Well, we played a very, very difficult schedule.
Yeah.
I think the thing about Tennessee's schedule is there's no quadrant 3 losses at all.
No.
All of the losses are quadrant 1 or 2.
Yep.
And most of them have aged pretty well. I mean, you have Purdue and Kansas, which Kansas has not been the best, but
still,
you have Purdue and Kansas's losses.
We played Purdue, Kansas, and North Carolina all in a row.
You lost and then North Carolina was after our Maui trip coming. We came back for Maui, literally went straight to North Carolina to play at North Carolina.
That's just tough schedule.
And Barnes said after the fact that was a bad scheduling idea. He said, I would never do that again.
Yeah.
Schedule a game like that on the road. But then you lose 3 SEC games as well. I mean, only one of them was bad probably, and that's home. Well, you lose the home game against South Carolina, but then you lose at Texas A&M, which was kind of just a bad matchup for us.
Yeah, they're just a weird team. You lose one. We lost one home game or an away game at Mississippi State, but it was a close game.
Their big man really,
frisky. They're going to probably be a tournament team. So
I mean, in reality, it's a good schedule. If we can finish 25-6, I don't think anyone's shaking their head at that. I mean, I think that's
for sure. I just really want that 1 seed, and I think we deserve it over Arizona because I think they do have a quad 3 loss. That Stanford team is bad, and Oregon
FAU
State,
as well.
Feels like FAU's not. I don't think they're going to win their conference.
A&M is the only one against a team that maybe won't make the tournament that Tennessee had, but I mean they're still not a bad team.
Yeah,
and if they win a couple tournament games, I think they could still play their way into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, they're a team that can go and win the conference tournament and get themselves in. It's like what they tried to do
on the
last
bubble
year.
most of the season.
Yeah, they're just a good coach team, so that makes sense. So yeah, a lot of excitement around this UT team. I know that we're going to have like a big March Madness after the brackets come out episode, so we're going to make sure they are ready for that. It's going to get college basketball heavy for the next month, so if you're not into that,
especially Tennessee's making a run at it.
We'll see you guys after because it's about to get basketball heavy around here. But to give you a little palate cleanser from this episode, like Mason was talking about, we do have an awesome interview with Josh on the other side. We're talking Braves baseball. He's a huge sports fan. Josh is a knower of all ball. He is a guy who just loves sports, commentates on sports for our local area here. So very smart. And so he is teaching us about some baseball, and it was a really good interview. I think we should kick it over to him and us.
And welcome. We have our interview today with a very special guest. His name is Josh. If you have been with us from the very beginning, first of all, we appreciate you, love you. You're the best. But second of all, you probably recognize this voice from last fall when he filled in with us, had a little, football banter talk. But today, well, actually, I did have a football question for you, Josh. We had the combine. He does not know these questions that we're going to ask him, so this is going to be awesome. But we had the combine last weekend. How would you do in a 40-yard dash, Josh?
I would, I would start slow, but I would finish faster than I started so long as I didn't pop my hammy.
There it is.
Finish strong.
Yeah,
I did.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Josh. If you're a listener, Josh is one of the guys in our fantasy league, and I did run this by the guys for draft order one year that we ran the 40s. Robert, our Zach's dad and guest of the first interview, was not about it. For that reason, he was very concerned about his hamstrings. So
he's just old.
I still think that would be a fun idea for our draft order.
I'm all for it. How many injuries would we have? Over, under 3.5?
Over.
10 of us, I'd say under.
You think so?
You guys underestimate how far 40 yards is.
It's true.
Hey, man. I ran track in high school.
I think Mason probably finishes. Josh, if you had to guess how many yards Tins rushed for his freshman year of high school, what would you say?
Go ahead. Try and guess.
Go ahead. Take it. 95.
Roll big wrong.
Tell him, Tins. Tell him.
I ran for over 1,000 yards my freshman year. I was the starting running back on the freshman team.
My guy.
He's a beast. Yeah.
Don't let this dad bod fool you. I used to run track. And we ran track against all the Nashville schools. And let me tell you, I got made fun of a lot until it was time to race. All right. And that was our interview.
Tins, why didn't you go further in your football
career? Coming on to the episode. We always appreciate having Josh around. I can't catch. And Coach Jay Joslin, after my freshman year, my sophomore year during spring training, he came over to me and said, now, Tinsley, son, I got one rule for running backs. They've got to catch the football. And, brother, you can't do it. So I'm going to stick you at corner because you're fast as light wherever you listen to your podcast.
I love this story.
Make sure you rate us. I got moved the corner and because we had
last at corner.
But I mean, I quit my junior year. But we had good running backs. I mean, Josh Bush went to go play at Tech. Dalen Martin was being recruited. He was a year ahead of me. Josh probably knows Dalen Martin. He was being recruited by SEC teams until he flunked out of high school. His senior year.
It's tough.
This is the best
he had offers from like Southern Miss when they were in the SEC.
Good time.
Or not Southern Miss. Not Southern Miss. Who am I thinking?
I don't think that's right.
Way back.
Somebody, I remember because it was a big deal in the locker room. He had all kinds of offer letters from big schools.
Yep. Well, I do have a special guest that wants to say hello.
Uh-oh.
Oh, we're here for it.
Oh,
no.
Dang it.
For those of you listening, I have brought out the wonderful fantasy football trophy that I was lucky and fortunate enough to claim this year.
In all its glory.
All her beautiful glory.
I hope you enjoy that.
On that sucker.
I hope you enjoy that, Josh, because we all split that trophy, but the rest of the money's coming out of my pocket. They gave me about 40 years of, what do you call those things? The
plaques,
little
name
plaques.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I lost them, so now I have to every single year pay out of my own. It's like $10 a plaque. So if we do this for the next 40 years, you're looking at, which we will be. We are going to play it. We're going to do this for the next 40 years. That's like $400 right there. So
it makes the pain that much worse putting someone else's name on it and having to pay for it.
Yeah, that also has happened. So
have you put your name on it since you've lost the plaques?
Yeah, I believe.
That's why he got the plaques.
That's why I got the plaque.
He won.
There's like 4 years where we didn't even have the people's names on there because I just didn't put the plaques on there.
So that's why some of these plaques are a different color.
Mason, what if every year that it's not you, you misspell something just slightly, just to spite whoever it is that's kidding.
Joss, G-O-S.
If they want to change it, they could pay for it to be changed.
Yeah. Spell Josh's name with a G or something. I might have to do that each time. Be like, all right, pay an extra fee if you want it correctly done. It's my little side hustle.
That's right.
Pays for your entry fee every year.
Yeah,
it's true.
So we got some baseball talk.
Yes. So to kick things off, Josh is a Titans and Vols fan, but he is one of the few guys that we are buddies with that also is a baseball guy. I know just about enough baseball to get me in trouble when it comes to gambling. I'd say Mason's right there with me.
Yep.
Zach does not know which end of the bat you use in baseball.
Correct.
That is where he's at in baseball.
Do you stand on the plate, Zach?
Yeah.
Maybe. It depends on what the count is, I think.
UT baseball is what he follows. I
do follow UT baseball. That's true. Actually. Yeah, I do that.
I think that's just because UT baseball has been very good the last few years.
That is true.
I
went to some games there in college back whenever we weren't as good, and you could actually get in like anytime you wanted, and there was no one in the stadium. That's a pretty good watch because it was pretty chill, and students got them for free and could pretty much just sit wherever. I think nowadays it's much harder to get into that stadium at any point in time. Yeah,
I feel like baseball. I was just saying, minor league baseball is pretty fun to go to if you've ever been to a minor league game. It's a little bit more relaxed, but baseball is its own. It's a very big sport. It's a very long sport to keep up with, and we are lucky enough to have Josh kind of talk to us about being a Braves fan today. Is what the alley we're going to go with, which it feels like the Braves are everyone's team in this area, just because we don't have a team in Nashville yet. MLB is thinking about expanding. So who knows? Nashville could be getting a team. So yeah, excited to talk some Braves today. Talk a little baseball. So let's kick it off. Josh, what era? We were talking about this a little bit before. With football teams, you can go year like, oh, I really liked this certain year of a team, but there's so much influx of new players and players leaving with football and even college football that it's kind of hard to pinpoint, or it's easier to pick one year for a football team. But I feel like for baseball, you kind of get a good core of guys that are on the team for a long time. So if you had to pick an era of the team, like which era would you say was like the team that really like got you started in your fandom?
I mean, I look back at my childhood and my life, and the baseball and the Braves were absolutely my first love. I'm going to throw a name out here that most of you guys probably don't even know, but I had a poster on my wall of a man named Fred McGriff.
Oh,
an
crime dog.
slugger. Yeah, an absolute slugger. You've heard of him, right, Zach?
Yeah.
Big fan. Yeah, big fan of Mr. McGriff.
Big fan.
Great career.
But I really remember those days as the early days that I began to follow the Braves and baseball. You're right. Everybody around here is a Braves fan, and there's a big reason for that. If you watch TBS, they had Braves games. If you had WGN, it was always Cubs games. And typically around here, those are the two teams that you're going to see supported very highly. And so it was natural. They're the closest team, could go catch a game. So I became a Braves fan, and it certainly didn't hurt that they were winning basically every year the division, like 14 years straight.
Yeah.
It's not until I got into high school that they started losing the division. So that was fun. But my favorite era would be the Andrew Jones, Chipper Jones, big three pitchers era. They just really dominated, won a lot of games, always choked in the playoffs, like all my teams do. So, it's just part of it. But we did get a big World Series win a few years ago.
So, Josh, you brought up Chipper Jones and McGriff. Is it one of those, or do you have another player that's your favorite of all time, like favorite Braves player? Is it?
It's definitely Chipper Jones.
Chipper Jones.
Yeah, third baseman. I grew up playing third base. I just loved his style, loved his swagger. I wasn't fast enough to be like an Andrew Jones. I was never going to play center field, but I could hold down third base because I was absolutely fearless. It's
Take
like
those line drives.
Yeah, it's like that Happy Gilmore when he gets in the batting cage and he's just beaming balls at his chest and he's just taking them. That was me. I couldn't do much, but I could stand in the way and knock it down. So
did you want to be third base because of Chipper, or was that just
probably?
Yeah,
probably. Yeah, my favorite number was 10. That's what I always wanted to do. Actually, I have a bat in my house somewhere of Chipper Jones. It's an autographed bat by Chipper Jones. Yeah, very cool.
That's very
big
cool.
fan. Big fan.
Okay.
How much would that be worth, you think, if we sold that bat?
And if you got it authenticated, it'd probably be has he already made it into the Hall of Fame?
Let's wait. Play the waiting game.
Look it up. Oh yeah.
Mason out here is just trying to fund his plaque. He's like, how many plaques can we pay for with this bat?
With this
sell all of your memorabilia.
Josh, I'm just coming in here. Are you a big baseball card guy?
I'm not a big baseball card guy. Now, I was gifted. I was born in 1991. So when I was born, somebody gifted me that entire year. So I do have that entire year in a box, protected in my attic. So there's not many good cards in
big
there,
rookies in that year.
Yeah, but it is cool to have an entire year.
Cool. That's a cool birth gift.
Yeah, very, very unique.
Yeah, that's very cool.
You have like the baseball cards. Zach's dad has like a whole attic full of like the comic books and stuff.
He does.
I don't have anything like this. I don't that I know. And I think Robert also had like tons of sports cards as well. Yeah.
He gave them away. He was tired of looking at the sports cards, and he gave them to me, and I think he gave some to Mason. I don't remember, but he gave me a ton, and I've sorted through them. I mean, there's no Michael Jordans hidden in there anywhere, but maybe one day I'll stumble across one.
It's a shame, you want that golden card that's going to help you find retirement early.
Yeah, right. Yeah. All right. So we talked about like your favorite era, and that's, those 90s Braves, they really were known for, they would win a ton of games, kind of dominate the regular season, but then kind of choke in the first round of the playoffs. So I guess this is kind of more of a like, because baseball, it is a little bit harder to pick a like most heartbreaking game. So maybe more like a most heartbreaking moment, because I get you were young then, so maybe you couldn't really understand the weight of them losing those, and then because they were still good. Baseball, you still have a chance to kind of go on a run, and even if you just win your division, that feels like a lot in baseball because the season's so long. But do you have like maybe a most heartbreaking moment, or even a game that comes to mind where you're like, maybe we blew a big lead or just got lapped like 21-0 or something like that? I mean, that happens every once in a while in baseball.
Yeah, I can think of a couple right off the top of my head. Usually playoffs. I went to the first ever wild card game after they changed the format. Baseball is big on tradition. Yeah, so right after they had changed the format, I don't know, this is probably 8, 9, 10 years ago, and they went away from the just the division winners and one wild card. And it was very exclusive. They thought, 162 games, we should be able to get the 8 best teams in, and then they realized how much money there was to be made. And we all know that's Zach's dad's favorite thing, when people make decisions based on money.
It's true. It is true. Money is everything in sports. That's what they all say.
Yes.
Unless you're talking to Robert Durham, then it's for the pride of the university or the team.
And so when they changed those rules, me and some buddies went down to the Braves stadium and caught that very first wild card game. And that was the infamous infield fly rule. And basically, if you don't know what an infield fly is, if you hit the ball straight up into the air and there's somebody on first and it's typically somewhere in the infield, they will just go ahead and call the batter out. And they do that to prevent the infielder from saying, oops, I let it drop, and then you could run like a double play because the guy on first didn't run because he didn't want to get thrown out at first after the ball was caught. And so they'll typically do that. Well, this infield fly rule was called by the referees, which are supposed to use their discretion, the umpires are. And so this one was called about, 100 feet into the outfield. And I was at this game, and people booed for about 15, 20 minutes. Many people believe it cost us the game. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. I don't know. But it gave us something to be mad at, and lots of the fans were throwing their beverages onto the field and showing their displeasure until eventually they said, hey, you guys got to stop before we just lose this game. So that's one. Another is Dan Ugla. I don't know if anybody remembers him or not, but Dan Ugla, he's a second baseman.
Zach does.
Yeah, Zach definitely does. The second baseman could hit some bombs, man, forearms the size of my calves. Like, dude was an absolute monster. Could rake, and he was a very good bat, but he was a liability on defense. And we got into the playoffs, and there were a few games where he just bat went cold. He made a bunch of errors, and he absolutely cost us that series. And those are a few of the big moments that I think of when I think about disappointment. And of course, Morgan Wallen has a whole song about the 98 Braves. So can't forget that one either.
Shout out. He was definitely around for those 98 Braves, Morgan Wallen.
Make sure to put that in the hashtag, Zach. We need the clicks. So
okay, Morgan Wallen. I will say that there's something pretty special about, it's whenever you're in a stadium and everyone's super excited, that's one thing. But when everyone has collectively agreed that you've been wronged, it's even more fun sometimes because it's just like, we know we can't do anything at this point, but we can at least just make it miserable for the umpire. Like we have to just, I don't know. It almost makes you more motivating than like cheering. It's like,
I'm going to take months of misery out on these people on this field. I mean, absolute months. Everything that has made me angry and upset.
Yep.
It's coming out on your family right here.
There's something special about a good like boo at the refs. It is. That's funny.
Zach, I feel like you have a lot of those as a UT fan for sure.
Correct.
So, real quick question: you were talking about this area is a lot of Braves fans. Is St. Louis Cardinals, when you go more west to Tennessee, you feel like, do you have any fans that are St. Louis Cardinals or any like different baseball like fans? Like, do you have any friends like that at all, or know people, or is it mostly Brave fans?
Cardinals is another big one, and it's because they're so successful, and they had the Albert Pujols years and the Molina years, and you will see a lot of Cardinals fans, but I'm not friends with them, so
none of those at all.
No, we're not friends.
What is your favorite thing about being a fan of your team? Do you have like a specific thing?
So baseball specifically is, there's a game on almost every single night.
Yeah.
And so when you're a baseball fan, man, they are on all the time. They are always on. They're always around. When they make that West Coast swing, I remember, and this is another thing like in hockey too, I follow the Preds. When I was in my college days and I stayed up, past 9:00 doing homework. Right now, if I stay up past 9, it's way too late, living that kid life.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mason. Yeah, kid life, right?
I don't even have kids, but I go to bed at 9:00. So
that's true. He really does.
But I love just turning the TV on, watching a game in the background while I was doing homework, getting some things done. I think that's the thing that's different about baseball and hockey and these sports, even basketball, that have more games throughout the week, is that you really feel a deeper connection because you're listening to the same announcers,
right,
5 times a week. You're watching the same guys play, and so the connections that you build and create with these guys, albeit fake, feels very real.
Yeah,
and so by the time the end of the year comes around, whether it's a win or a loss, you feel it much more deeply. And so I think that's the really unique thing about baseball and what makes it really interesting.
You even got games on during the day, like when you're at school or at work, like a whole lot of other sports. It's not like that. Like and they even have games at like 10:00 in the morning. Sometimes I've seen it. So it's very like unique, and it's like so different than any other sport. So
if you guys haven't seen the movie Fever Pitch, I strongly recommend it. Jimmy Fallon.
Big Jimmy Fallon guy.
It's a solid
big
movie.
Jimmy Fallon.
What about Moneyball?
Oh,
Moneyball's a very good movie. I love Moneyball.
Dude, Moneyball is so good. I'll just throw that on. Like Moneyball and Draft Day are 2 of my favorite spring movies just to throw on and watch. I do it just about every year.
I gotta go 2 thumbs down on Draft Day. Sorry.
It's bad, but I still just like to watch it, especially around the draft.
What about Sandlot? I feel like you're a big Sandlot guy, Josh.
Oh, definitely a big Sandlot guy. You play ball like a girl. L7
classic.
Yeah.
Lots of classic insult lines in that one.
Right there.
All right.
There's nothing like being a young boy watching Sandlot. As a fellow pretends to drown just so that he can get a lifeguard to make out with him. Nothing beats that as a young man.
Gives all the 8-year-olds out there dreams of what they could accomplish. I mean, he ends up marrying her.
Just something romantic about baseball,
Something romantic about baseball.
All right. I actually I just changed one on the sheet. Sorry, Mason. But I talked about it a little bit earlier. MLB is talking about expanding, and Nashville is like one of the big teams. If the expansion doesn't come here, there's a lot of rumors that there's a purchasing group looking at the White Sox to move them down here. So do you think getting a team in Nashville would kind of cut into this Braves this Braves fan base, or do you think they've been around so long and have, it's not like they've been a bad team for a long time either. Sure, they've had some down years, but for the most part, they're one of the top tier organizations. I don't feel like they're going to lose a lot of fans, but maybe something shiny and new could pull some people away.
I think, especially in Middle Tennessee, even into Kentucky, you could steal some of the fan base, but I think the things that Atlanta has going for them is they have these video game type deals with their star players, like things that you would try to put in cheat codes to force. And so their core is locked up, their bats are locked up, and they're all young. So I think if you're going to bring Nashville into this market, you either got to do it now while the buzz is hot and just make it work and force it, or you need to wait until some of these players age out or get traded off. There's always been a lot of talk. I've heard some really crazy rumors, especially in that COVID season, where they talked about Tampa Bay maybe playing half their games in Tampa and half of their games in Montreal, and maybe even some of their games in Nashville, and just trying to test out some different things. I definitely think it will happen. The A's coming to Nashville was a big rumor that was being talked about for a long time, but they're going to end up in Vegas, and
maybe that deal apparently is getting messed up right now.
So I would love to see that, but I would also love to see like Tampa Bay end up in Nashville just because of who they are in a division with. You've got the Yankees, you've got the Red Sox, you've got the Orioles, and you could see all those teams coming to town. And Nashville is kind of like Vegas when it comes to it's a tourist attraction. People will come to Nashville to watch a game. So I think they could survive for a while just based on that itself. But they got to build a stadium, and they just built that brand new AAA stadium. Can Nashville sustain a AAA team and an MLB team? I don't know, but they've had a strong AAA foundation for a long time. So I think that proves to me that they could definitely be an MLB town.
Yeah, and I think the success of the MLS team too is really kind of another green flag for like, hey, Nashville is a sports town, and we've talked about it too offline about it is becoming a destination place to come and watch sports. Titans fans have been. Oh, sorry, that might have been my mic. I guess I don't know. I guess we'll find out in editing.
I think that was me.
But Titans have had a lot of fans from away teams come and turn Nashville into like a destination weekend. So could definitely see that with baseball as well.
All right, so this is going to be interesting because I have trouble with this word as much as Tinsley does, but let's talk rivalries. There we go. Hey, I surprise myself sometimes. With football, you have like your specific ones with the division set up, even college football. You have your specific like rivalry games. With baseball and the Braves, do they have a specific one? And if not, or is there just a team that you just love to beat and is excited to watch that specific, your Braves play that specific team?
There's something about Florida, that just really makes a Tennessee man happy when you beat him.
Zach is shaking his head over here if you can.
So anytime we can put a beating on the Marlins, who absolutely stink, it just makes you feel better. And that's always fun. No, as far as rivalries go, Cardinals, Dodgers, Phillies, those are teams that when they pop up on the schedule, you kind of circle them and you say, all right, we got to get these guys. I don't care when it is. I want to beat them. And it's the old like Vols by 100. It's Braves by 1,000. Just absolutely. I want to see the right fielder in their pitching because they don't want to use any of their arms.
Is there a specific fan base that you really like hate? Like, is there one? I know there's some very loud baseball fan bases out there. Is there one that you're just like, I can't stand those guys?
Can I guess?
Cardinals.
Yeah. Dang it. I was gonna say.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say Yankees. Yankee fans.
Nobody likes the Yankees. They are the evil empire. That's what everybody refers to them as. So Yankees, absolutely, nobody can stand them. They're the typical bandwagon fans.
I know the Astros have kind of become the bad boys in the past couple of seasons as well.
Yeah, people don't like them, because they cheated
The
a
whole
little
cheating
bit.
thing. Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, they cheated. Who would have thought you cheat a little bit and people start hating you? But I'll say this: even if you know what pitch is coming,
Yeah,
you still got to hit it, and without the roids, you still have to hit it well. Which that's a whole fun era of baseball right there. If you want to talk about steroids and that home run chase, that was summer of my life, baby. But no, I don't like the Dodgers. Don't like the Cardinals. So those are the two that really get on my nerves the most. Don't want to hear them chirp.
I didn't know this about Cardinals fans, to be honest. Before we started this, I didn't know Cardinals fans and the team in general had so much beef with the Braves.
Well, I think it's just how close they are and how often they play each other. They were very good at the same time for a long time.
I got you.
And so, there were some trades that went down where they got some guys that we traded to them that turned out being good. And guys that we got didn't turn out being so hot. And so
that'll add fuel to it right
salty.
there.
Yeah, it just leaves me a little salty.
So if there's any Cardinal fans out there that want to race Josh in a 40-yard dash to see who's the better fan, get those hamstrings loosened up a little bit there. Yeah.
Special edition pod.
we'll do it.
And it will be next guy up, because whenever which one of us falls, we're gonna
somebody's got to sub in. Yeah. Well, Josh, I know we have a lot of the same teams in common, but the difference is the Braves have won a championship pretty recently. I don't know. I know they win in 95. Is that right?
95
as well. So
right.
You were 4 years old.
I was 4.
So, but this one is real. It feels like I don't know. I honestly I'm curious. What is it like for someone you follow so closely to actually do the whole thing and win the championship? Something none of us have ever experienced as Jags, Titans, Vols fans in my lifetime, at least. What is that like to follow a team for so many games and then end up the team at the end of the season?
There's something about baseball and it going so slow that causes so much more tension and stress.
Yes.
With every pitch, and the crowd can get involved to the point to where it just really amps things up. And so every game, every playoff game, every pitch feels that much more important, and every home run that is hit just feels like you have absolutely hung the moon.
Yeah.
And you've seen this guy hit this ball to this moon. Jorge Soler, I remember his home runs in our World Series run. And there's nothing like texting your group of buddies, watching it live, either together in separate places. You're waiting for the text that says, "Oh my gosh," or "I can't believe that just happened," or you want to be the first one to send it. So living in those moments until it all finally comes to this climactic moment of we've won it all. We've won every game that there is to win. We won the last game of the year. Is very surreal. Sure. And then, it takes a couple days to set in, and you're soaking in all of the parades and sports center days and, we are the champions moments. And then you go blow a whole bunch of money on merch.
Yep.
I will buy so much merch. The Vols win anything.
Yeah. I do not want to tell you the number of dollars that I spent on merch and how many, because it ends in the end of October, 1st of November, and how many different Christmas gifts I asked for that had Braves World Champions on it.
It's awesome.
I thought you were going to say how many less Christmas gifts your kids got that year because of all of the Braves merch you had purchased.
I can't either confirm nor
deny. Yeah. That's pretty cool. I've been following the Tennessee baseball team a little bit more, and once you get to those World Series games or those games in the season, it's hard for me to watch, to be honest. I can't watch it intently because it stresses me out because it does go so slow, and the game can change on one swing of the bat. And it's just holy cow. That's a different level of intensity watching sports. That is. It's like Absolutely. Small explosions throughout a couple of hours versus a long stretch of intensity. It's different. It's pretty cool.
I'm wearing my Tennessee basketball hoodie right now.
That's right.
You know, they could. I don't want to jinx anything, but they do look good, and they could make a decent run. So
make a run. That's what I'm hoping for. That's awesome, though. It is cool to get to see someone who has followed a team who is not won in a long. That's kind of that was our vision for this segment of the podcast, was following the ups and downs of teams and say, you know, people who last through the ups and downs, not people who just jump on a bandwagon at the tail end of a championship year, but someone who's watched since the first game and then watched the last game of the last year when they were terrible, you know. So it's cool to watch that kind of progression, and then to finally get there at the end of the season as the winners. That's a cool feeling. Yeah.
Oh, it's very cool. And the Braves do a really good job. You guys were talking about eras earlier, and I started thinking about all the different players that led into more superstars, and they're really good about drafting superstars. And even if they're not a superstar when they draft them, they develop them into one, and they all kind of intersect. And it's nationally well-known guys, whether it's Chipper and Andrew or Smoltz to Freddie and now Acuna and Albies and all these different guys that they've got. Spencer Strider. They do a really good job of growing their own talent and transitioning you from one season to the next while somehow maintaining the majority of the core. It's really cool, and it's really unique. They've only had a couple years where they really sucked and had some rebuild times. So baseball's different. There's no salary cap. The draft is so massive. You have this farm system. You have all these minor league teams, and the emphasis is really on identifying talent and then developing it. And so it's really cool to watch that happen.
That's awesome.
Last question, Josh. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Absolutely, yes.
Oh, wow. All right. I think Tins you don't like pineapple on pizza, right? Someone's a hater of pineapple on pizza. I can't remember.
I don't. I
just don't want to.
It doesn't make sense to me, but it's to each their own.
I had to throw a curveball. We have a baseball segment. I had to throw a curveball at Josh, get him some, But thank you for joining us, Josh. We appreciate you always being ready. The next guy up on the podcast.
Is the next guy up.
Yeah.
He's really a recurring guest now at this point. He's been on.
Josh, anything you want to plug? I know you do some. So you do some announcing on the side, yeah?
Yeah, just a little bit on the side. Yeah, you can find us on Facebook, Upper Cumberland Reporter. Yeah,
heck yeah,
it's a good time. Yeah,
you'll
see them.
Yeah,
go ahead.
You usually announce for which teams?
Bro, I am
just whoever.
Yeah, I go wherever. I've followed teams throughout the year, and that's always fun. But to get plugged in to different teams in different moments, that's pretty fun too, especially as you develop relationships with different coaches and staffs, and you can see them and watch their progression. So yeah, it's a good time. Basketball, football, wrapping it all up right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. I sometimes tune in if I see you post or whatever, and it's always fun just to jump into the middle of a high school basketball game or whatever it is, football.
I try to make it very similar to what you guys do. Just hop in. It's just a bunch of guys talking ball.
Yeah.
And so make it to where awesome. you can get sucked in and lose 30 minutes of your day and forget where you're at. So that's the goal.
That's very cool.
All right, so that is going to be our episode right there, guys. Thanks for listening, and we will catch you on Monday. All right, and that was our interview with Josh. Thanks again for coming on to the episode. We always appreciate having Josh around. We're definitely going to have him back for some more college football when that time kicks up. But that is going to be an episode for today. Make sure you're following us over on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Make sure you are subscribed on Apple or Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Make sure you rate us 5 stars, 4.5 at the least. But we will catch you on Monday for our Messing Around Monday episode. Thanks, guys.